So today we're really excited because we're going to have gravel delivered and some fill in preparation for our shop space. So we're just doing some final measuring and marking out of the corners to make sure everything is where we want it to be. Really awesome to be at this stage after all the work we've done. Oh, I see. Okay. So outline for the pad and shop corner.
Basically, this whole thing needs to be turned into a pad.
Right. Yeah.
But
everything we cleared.
This part, what we're gonna build on is kind of what I marked out.
Yeah. But it'll be nice to have that extra parking area and drivable area. So we just had the first load of rock delivered. Their first thing actually is they're laying down this membrane that will prevent, it's kind of like landscape fabric, very elaborate construction version. And so then they dumped the rock, and when they dumped the rock, I was back at our tent, which is where we situate the dogs for the day, and it was so loud, it sounded like a massive wave or something like that crashing. It's like, whoa, that's the rock. And we had so much wind yesterday, I thought maybe it was a big gust of wind coming through, but it was the rock. So it's going to be pretty awesome to watch the progress today. So the first thing that we're doing is fixing the driveway because it's basically just a trail of muddy mossiness still. So in order for their big trucks to come down and deliver the rock, they've got to fix the driveway first. So the front of our driveway where we put rock last year is way too soft for this massive truck. So we're gonna have to cut down some more trees so that he can drive through where the soil is a little bit more stable. Thomas is falling trees on the other side of the road so that the dump truck can have a wider berth for turning, because right now he's kind of stuck between the tree line over there and the giant bucket machine. Caterpillar. That was pretty stressful. The dump truck almost got stuck right after it looked like the Caterpillar might also get stuck. But we got enough rock put down, and then with all the trees that we cut down in the road, we did what is apparently called braiding, where you lay all the trees down in a muddy spot, which is what we were calling our little bridge, is braiding. And so beneath that, or over top of that, then is another layer of the industrial visqueen. So here comes another truck. This is what's called pit run. So some of the rocks are seriously like this big, giant practical boulders. Not something we had planned to do. It's really good because it needed to be done. Once we're living up here, we'll want water delivery maybe. It all depends on whether or not we decide to dig a well or other water sources. So big trucks are going to need to be able to pull in here. So it's going to cost a little bit more today, but it'll be worth it in the long run. We're continuing to build up the driveway. I feel like this may be the fourth time I've said that. But anyway, continuing to build up the driveway so that it doesn't get stuck. We took out the fence posts. So one of the things that's tricky is there's a softer side of our driveway, and he's had to make some turns that are a little bit sharp, and that's what's causing him to dig in. The roller is 30,000 pounds, and this truck full of gravel is about the same, but the roller has a nice big wide wheel, so it doesn't have any trouble getting around. But when it comes to the tires, they tend to sink into the mud. Looks like the solution right now is to have the cat pull the dump truck out every time it needs to until we really get this rock solidified. Okay, today there was a lot of, guess what, working on the road. The road, our nemesis. Tell us about the road, Thomas.
Our road is a wet, soggy bastard. Can I say that on YouTube? It is, yeah. So we spent a lot of time adding in fill on our road because every time we backed the truck up and tried to turn and bring it in, and we built a pretty wide approach for the truck, and we added more approach in. I just got to pause for a moment.
I know, I'm not sure when.
On Lenny.
Lenny is enjoying this black plastic.
Yeah, it's not this clean. It's a
no.
particular kind of material you lay down underneath everything. Yeah, but Lenny apparently likes it. Hey, Lupa. Anyway, back to the road. Our nemesis, which we spent weeks and weeks working on last year, and here we are again, spending days working on our road, and hopefully we figured out a system, because every time we backed the dump truck in, there was a spot on the right or the left that they would sink, and it felt like every time we ran the roller over it, it just kind of brought up more moisture and just caused the road to sink even more. And it just became like, you know, the definition of insanity. We just kept trying over and over again, and the same thing kept happening. So our new system, just back the truck up, dump, and doze in, and that's what we're doing tomorrow. We didn't get a lot done today. I mean, there is a lot done. You wouldn't know it. As we're looking at like 3 feet of fill here.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with the fact that our ground here is just, yeah, just so weird. And this was a really wet winter, so we still have a lot of water around, and it feels like walking on it feels sturdy, but when you watch those bulldozers and those dump trucks come down on this stuff, it's you can see the ground move. It's really weird.
Yeah.
It's a sight to behold.
They're heavy.
Yeah.
30,000 pounds.
Heavy, but this is a lot of fill.
It is a lot of fill. It is a lot.
Like I said, we're just dropping rock over here and dozing it in, and hopefully at some point we'll be able to just drive the truck in, and the truck can just kind of dump, and we'll doze, and that'll go a lot faster. But worst case scenario, we're just dumping and pushing and dumping and pushing and rolling. And I think tomorrow we'll get a lot of this done. I mean, honestly.
Just not as fast as we thought it was going to be.
I think tomorrow will be faster though, because honestly we don't have a lot to do.
We're going to get there.
Yeah, we're almost there. We're getting close.
I'm just going to take a minute to show you how we do the laundry in this little machine that I bought. Last year it was just the 5-gallon bucket, which works okay, and maybe almost the same in some ways. This, I think, saves me time. I'm still not sure. I have to kind of stand by it because the cycles are only 15 minutes, so if it's an extra dirty load, I have to kind of keep restarting it. But where we're working on the property, I'm usually just a short walk away, so I can just come back every little bit and check on it. So I guess in that sense it probably does save me time. First it takes basically a 5-gallon bucket worth of water to fill, and there's like a high line and a low line. You have to get above the low line and make sure you stay below the high line. And I can fit a reasonable amount of clothes in here, a handful of socks, undergarments, and maybe a pair of pants or two if they're not big heavy-duty work pants, and a couple of shirts. So as long as I'm doing laundry regularly, I can kind of stay on top of it. All right. It comes with this spinner basket, and a little lid that goes on top to keep things from spinning out, but actually I've hardly ever used it, and things don't really tend to fly out of there. Set that aside for now. I am going to be using this Pure Castile soap, Dr. Bronner's. This one's actually the baby soap, and so it's the most mild, and it doesn't have a scent. And avoiding a lot of strong scents is a thing that we want here, where we're trying to avoid drawing bears in. We're already doing all of our cooking outside and everything, of course, so we try to keep the smells to a minimum. It's one of the beauties of the shed, is that now we can lock everything up in there at night that might be a little bit smelly. But with the laundry, of course, I'm going to be dumping the water right here, and so we want it to be as unscented as possible. It's also a concentrate, so you only have to use a very little bit. Perfect. So one of the things that I sometimes forget, and it's the draining mechanism of this little deal, there's a hose on this side. Don't know if you can see it from that angle, I might have to bring it around. If you don't hook it up onto the side of the machine, all the water you just poured in will drain out, which, you know, if you're doing this from an apartment or something, it's, well, you just turn on the faucet. But out here, it's, oh, okay, there's 5 gallons of water. That's basically 2 showers right there for us. And of course, a load of laundry. And this is actually just the wash cycle, and then I'll do a rinse cycle that'll take another 5 gallons. So we always want to be really conscious of the water, because it's not so easy to get. Something that when we get back home after being here for the summer is always a little like, wow, I can just turn on the tap, and how much water we waste on a daily basis when we're living with easy water. Okay, so we've got that filled, so now I'm going to put some clothes in. Alright, so we've got our clothes in, and there's enough give, right? It's not totally packed to the top where things aren't going to stay wet. So we're just going to go ahead and start this guy. The wash cycle, we'll turn it all the way up past the 15 mark and see what it does. Just a gentle spinning around. Alright, so now the wash cycle is done. So I'm going to drain the water, and then I'm going to pour in the rinse water. Just take the tube and lay it right there. And that's one of the other reasons why we wanted to make sure we use this natural soap, is because it's going right into the dirt, and this property feels pristine. Pristine not meaning no one's ever lived here, because we know that the Otner people have been here forever, but not filled with chemicals. Not mined, not, you know, any of the other kinds of things that can pollute. So we want to try to maintain that as much as possible. Okay, it's pretty well drained. I'm going to pour in my rinse, but actually I'm going to tip this one more time to try to get out any excess stuff. So before I start my rinse, I'm going to pick up this hose, otherwise my rinse water will just wash right out again. And again, there's a little hook on the side, so that's kind of handy for that to sit on. So I'm just going to turn it on to the wash timer again, just to agitate and rinse this last bit. Okay, so the rinse cycle is done, and now I can do the spin cycle. And I really like to, well, I gotta drain the water first. There it goes. I like to wring out the clothes just a teeny little bit before the spin. You have to take them all out anyway, because it's there's not enough room in this little basket for all the laundry you just did, probably. So, so I just put a little bit in at a time. And I try to wring it out a little bit first so it kind of helps the spin cycle, but you can just keep doing the spin cycle over and over too till you get all the water out that you want. It only gives about 5 minutes. And then I just usually hang it on a line, and on a reasonable day, it's pretty overcast today, but it'll probably still dry because it's nice and breezy. Okay, I am ready to spin. I've got my stuff in here. I have 3 pairs of socks and 2 t-shirts, a couple pairs of underwear in here. So, not a lot, but probably about a third of my load. A couple of those things might take most of the space. So the spin cycle involves a lot of shaking. So I imagine if a person's doing this at home, like in an apartment or something like that, on a countertop or on the floor, this might be going all over the place. But because it's in moss, it kind of stabilizes it actually, and I can walk away and I don't have to worry about it spinning off into the woods. But yeah, so this will go for about 5 minutes. I did have to put the little cap on this time because a couple of socks that were on the top flew out. But if you have something like a t-shirt or more substantial, pretty much it'll stay in there. Anyway, so it'll be about 5 minutes to spin, and then I'll hang them up. Now that the spin cycle is done, I can go ahead and just hang them out on the line. And they're pretty dry after just 5 minutes, depending on the item, of course. But some things take a little bit longer. But it really helps the dry time. And that is how the laundry machine works. So yesterday, after our struggles with the driveway, the road, having to have extra material delivered from the pit, extra time because having to pull the truck out, it was a $5,000 day. So we're hoping today will be a little bit less. Thomas is actually running the Vibromax. Such a funny name. And he's going to help out a little bit, and that might help also defray a little bit of the cost. Whew. We're gonna go check out the creek that runs through the middle of our property. There's 2 creeks. There's one in the middle of our property, and then there's one down below that actually is kind of like the divider between our property and state land that is behind us. And last summer we saw each of those once because we were so busy doing other things. So I'm like, I want to go see the creeks. So that's what we're gonna do.
Oh, and we're also gonna set up a trail cam. Like typically, wildlife follow streams, and it's kind of a natural pathway for bears and moose, and we want to see what's moving around on our property. So we're gonna hook one up down there.
Which one are we going to first?
We're going to the one that's on our property,
Okay.
and then we'll follow it down to
Okay.
the one that's on state land. You don't hear it rushing like we did last year. It's getting really wet. It's surprisingly dry this year. Whoa.
Oh, yeah. Well, so this was one of the things I was wondering is like, how consistent is there actually water in this creek? If we think we might want to potentially use it for our garden, like, is that something we can rely on?
This is about like the one that Dave uses. He pumps out of it. I think he found like a natural settling spot. And I think as we move forward more, you see it's just a small spring right here. But I think,
Oh, crazy. Yeah.
yeah, and you can see it running there and running up there. But I think as we move down here a little ways.
And, oh man, a lot of mosquitoes.
Yeah, I got repellent if you want.
Ooh,
Let's back
it
out
could
of
be,
here.
could be head net time. Oh, it's such a pretty little creek.
And we'll get down to
Okay.
where it goes a little faster and it gets a little bigger.
But it would be really nice once we like clear things away from that. It'll be less mosquito-y for one.
Less mosquito-y, but also we can
More
create a couple
accessible.
of little catch reservoirs here
Yeah.
to add in. I'm actually surprised that there's less water here this year because everywhere else is more wet. Just a little trickle through here. I feel like last year we looked at it more where it was open over here.
You can hear it.
So, kind of off of where the end of our property is.
Goes down through there.
We're getting pretty close to the end of our property line right here.
Very sweet.
Path down here.
Skeeters.
Yeah, it pretty much disappears right here. Turns into a mud puddle here.
Okay. Wow.
So that's not entirely a reliable source of water. So we might be pumping out of the creek down below,
Okay.
which we could do.
Kind of where it ends.
Right, I mean, it is, I think, but our property runs like this.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like
Oh, wow.
this creek
We
almost
have-
follows the edge
At
of
first
our
I thought this
property
was,
line.
I think it is Monk's Hood. I haven't seen that on our property yet. That's cool. Very cool. Oh, look at these little dogwood.
I think it pushes over a little bit on that.
Beautiful. Whew. Lots of really cool new wildflowers in this section.
Yeah.
I think I noticed those the first time, but
Yes, you did.
I'd forgotten. Oh my gosh, there's a whole bunch of them here.
Yeah, they're all over right here.
Beautiful. so beautiful. Yes, they are. Wow, okay.
This spot right here is clear. There's some critters been coming through here.
Lupin. More cinquefoil.
Not as high as it was the year before last, which is ironic because the year before last I feel like was more dry. Or was it last year that we came down here? I guess it was last year. Right?
It was last year.
Yeah.
I think parts of it are higher because we could see it from up above, right?
Yeah, we could.
And it looks like it was higher, but maybe honestly just a week can make a big difference.
Yeah, it's true.
Look at all this monkshood. That is so cool. I had no idea that we had that here. I mean, it was here in Alaska, but didn't know it was here.
Look at that little beaver chew right there.
Whoa.
Years ago.
Yep.
But clearly.
Beavers were here once.
And beavers could be here again if we do some natural
encouragements.
Encouragements, exactly.
Hard to believe there wouldn't be fish in there.
I know. There might be. See, I see tracks here.
Okay.
Look, right here. There's tracks.
Okay.
Here, there's tracks.
Oh.
Yeah, there's been moose in here.
Okay.
I think we should set up our camera.
Oh yeah, moose poop.
Yeah. I think we should set up our camera right here.
Okay.
Just like this. I think this is a good spot.
Whew. Several mosquito bites on the head. Ugh.
Yeah, no, I like that spot because there's lots of tracks there.
Okay.
And like they may come this way and feed here, but I feel like that's kind of a natural. They get kind of stuck there, whether it's a bear or a moose. Like if they're feeling their lazy path. And you can see where they're coming down and crossing the creek right here too. Right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is a good spot right here.
Just gonna sneak over, take a closer look at what we got here. So cute.
We know there's some moose in here. We've seen a bull moose, and like young-ish bull moose, and also a cow and a calf. And so this looks like a really great spot to actually catch them because there are some relatively fresh tracks in here. There's also some moose poo as well, and this is also kind of just a natural migratory path for animals because it follows the streamline here. So we're gonna get this all rigged up and turn it on, and hopefully we'll have some pictures we can share with you all of the wildlife we see around our property. Hold this for me for a second.
Yeah.
Right here. Just put your finger right
Okay.
there. Okay. The reason I have to do it this way is because a bear chewed on this and scratched and broke parts of the camera
right.
a couple years ago.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. There we go. I feel like that's pretty good.